The Seventh Tower by Garth Nix. Book 1, The Fall. Chapter 13. Tal's attacker made a horrible keening noise as Tal desperately rolled to the side. New energy came from pure fright as he pushed himself up and tried to run away. But the spear-thrower was in front of him, a short monster covered in furs, concealing everything of its form. Its face was totally white, as pale as bone, with hideous markings and deep-set yellow eyes. Its mouth was a round, dark hole. It also had an axe, a great bladed thing, not of metal, but some sort of carved bone or translucent stone. Instinctively, Tal raised his sunstone and directed a blast of white, hot light at the creature. It yowled like a cat, raised one arm to shield itself, and advanced on its hind legs, swinging the axe viciously from side to side. Tal stumbled back, while trying to keep the light focused on the creature's eyes, but it had tucked its chin into its chest, avoiding the beam. Even like this, it still came on, howling and chopping with its axe, the blade cutting the air just in front of Tal as he retreated. It would catch him soon. He was too tired to keep focusing on his sunstone, and would slip. If he didn't do something else, he would be chopped into bits. The Shadow Guard realized that too, and Tal felt it slip off his shoulders. It fell to the ground as a dark splotch, but was up again immediately as a Corvile that dashed at Tal's attacker. The creature, head down, didn't see it till it was too late. The Shadow Guard nipped at one knee, shadow teeth ripping through fur and possibly the flesh underneath. "Ow!" exclaimed the monster, sounding surprisingly human. "By the crone, you'll pay for that!" Tal almost stopped in surprise as he heard that voice. This wasn't a monster. It was a girl. The hideous face was a mask, with amber lens in the eye-holes. Girl or monster, she was still very dangerous. She saw Tal's surprise and lunged forward, the blunt end of her axe striking him in the stomach with a sickening thud. Winded, Tal crumpled to the ice, his light beam shooting off into the sky. "No, no!" he begged, holding up one hand as if he could ward off the axe blow that followed. "Don't kill me!" "Die, thief!" she shouted in return. "This is Far Raider's ice!" Everything seemed to happen in slow motion then. Tal saw the girl raise her axe high above her head, the blade glinting in the sunstone's light. The Shadow Guard was wrapped around her leg, biting, but she paid it no attention. Higher and higher the axe went, and Tal could hear the deep indrawing of the girl's breath as she prepared for a blow that would cut him in half. Then, even as the axe came swinging down, someone else shouted, the loud, commanding voice of a woman who was used to being obeyed. "Mila! Stop!" But the call came too late to stop the axe. Tal stared at it, mesmerized, the moment of its fall drawn out into what seemed like a whole lifetime of terror. In the very last fragment of a second, Mila's wrists twitched, and the axe smashed into the ground by Tal's head, smashing chips of ice all over his face. He lay there, stunned, as the girl slid back her mask to reveal a pale, oval-shaped face and striking green eyes. But there was a spark there of extreme anger, and her cheeks were flushed with emotion. "Don't think you'll live, Shadow Eater," she growled, bending down so her face was close to Tal's, so close he could feel the heat coming off her skin. "The crone will deliver you to me. We will fight again." Then she stalked off, out of Tal's sight. His Shadow Guard was slinking back, to wrap around his neck. It seemed to be quite pleased to get away from this mad girl, too. Tal kept lying still. It seemed to be the best thing to do, to gather his strength. He still had his sunstone, and he could use that better now that he was not surprised. He could see that the girl had only a natural shadow. She wasn't a chosen, which meant that he had been right in guessing the underfolk came out here. Or once did. This girl did not look anything like an underfolk he had ever seen. Her face was pale but red-cheeked, her hair white blonde, and her eyes piercingly green. Tal had never seen hair that color, and he realized he had never seen an underfolk's eyes. They always kept their faces lowered. He was still lying there when whoever had called out came to look down at him. This was an older woman, her mask already off. She had different clothing, though, softer-looking furs. Tal realized Mila had some sort of armor on as well, but this woman didn't. She didn't have an axe, either. "Get up," said the woman. or I'll have Mila cut you into pieces and feed you to the Reska." Tal got up. As his shadow guard moved, the woman stepped back, sucking air between her teeth. "What is that?" she asked. Tal thought for a moment, unsure of how to respond. These people, with their natural shadows, had to be some sort of underfolk. There was only one way to treat underfolk, and that was to give them orders. Possibly they still hadn't realized he was a chosen. "My shadow guard," said Tal proudly. "I am Tal Grail of the Orange Order of the Chosen of the Castle. Who are you?" This seemed to be the wrong thing to say. Mila, who had been walking away, suddenly turned with a growl and hefted her axe. But the older woman raised her hand, and the warrior girl stopped. "He does not know our ways," said the woman. "A strange thing to find upon the ice. There is much here that we should know." She paused, thinking, then said, "I am the crone of the Far Raider clan of the Ice Carls. That is Mila, who wishes to be a shield maiden, and may yet be. You will come with us back to the ship. Tal Grail Rerim." She pronounced his name strangely, and Tal didn't like the way she spoke to him at all. She only had a native shadow, after all. "You will take me to the castle," he commanded. "At once." His voice quavered, and it sounded weak, even to him. The business about showing underfolk who was the boss clearly didn't work here. These underfolk were feral. They might do anything. Please?" he added, his voice breaking completely. The crone looked at him, then turned toward Mila. Tal didn't see what she did, but Mila pulled something out from under her furs. A flat, curved bone that she held by one end. Tal was still wondering what it was, when it hit him in the head and knocked him unconscious. As Tal fell, his shadow guard caught him and lowered him down. Before it could do anything else, the crone sprang on it, holding open the mouth of a large bag. She scooped up lots of snow, but also scooped up the shadow guard. The shadow guard started to ooze through the tough selski skin of the bag, but again the crone was ready. She tucked Tal's sunstone in his shirt, hiding its light. "Without light, the shadow that walks alone cannot prosper," she announced in the darkness. "This is known to the crones, Mila. I shall follow your sleigh, not too close, for fear the light will awaken it." "Do I have to take that?" asked Mila petulantly, pointing at Tal. "Yes," said the crone, "and be quick. He is only a boy, and he has the wet sickness in his lungs. We must get him to the ship before death sets upon him." "I shall set his death," whispered Mila. She grunted as she picked up his arms and started to drag him back to her sleigh. "If he'd been a normal raider, I would be wearing my first winter sign by sleep time." "But he is not a raider of any kind, normal or not," said the crone. Her eyes seemed to shine in the darkness, though the lights on the sleigh were too far away for any reflection. "Quickly, child! Do I have to tell you everything twice?"